Today, I'll be covering mostly new features and enhancements with regards to configuration management on Starta Cloud Manager. So quickly, I've done multiple presentations on the Starta Cloud Manager. The Starta Cloud Manager is the industry's first AI-powered zero trust management and operations platform. So the most of the features most of the features on Strata Cloud Manager are built around the three goals. Those three are essentially shown in the slides. One is like obviously we want to prevent network disruptions, strengthen security in real time, enable simple and consistent network security and management. I've given details about Strata Cloud Manager in my previous presentations. Like if you want to understand Strata Cloud Manager in terms of different configuration aspects and stuff, so I would actually recommend I would recommend you to actually go through my previous presentations on Strata Cloud Manager. So the two pillars, strengthen security in real time, enable simple and consistent network security management. I'm going to actually cover those two pillars, some of the new enhancements or features which are actually which have come out in those two pillars is something that I want to cover in this session. Next, like obviously, before I kick it off, I want to actually kind of put this across. People who have already used Strata Cloud Manager or people who are using Strata Cloud Manager, you're familiar with Command Center. Command Center is actually something that we released a couple of months ago. It's a single pane of glass for your next-gen firewall and Prisma Access, which gives you view into how many devices, how many users, and what are the what enforcement points that they're going through in the next-gen firewall or Prisma Access, and then what kind of applications that they're accessing. Right, so you can actually further drill down into the threats that were discovered, and then also any kind of data loss incidents that were actually happened. So it gives you a overview of your security network in terms of all the users what applications that they're connecting to, what kind of enforcement points that they're going through, and then also what kind of threats were discovered. So you can get like a summary view using the command center. So it's pretty cool in terms of the visualization and then the data it provides in order to get a quick summary of what is going on in your security network. So in terms of the new features and configuration management diving in, so I want to actually cover the following one. So what I would like to do is this is not just slides. I'll dive into the product and then kind of cover it in the product itself. So the first thing is dynamic privileged access. The idea with dynamic privileged access is you have multiple consulting companies where they have their customers, right? I'm going to just actually take example of consulting company one, and they have customer one and customer two. And the employees of the consulting company, they have to actually connect to their customers' applications in order to access their applications. This might actually pose a lot of challenges. For example, the employees of the consulting company, they may have to install the customer's VPN, and if they're working on multiple customer projects, then they may have to install multiple VPNs. This can cause a lot of issues, because if there are issues on their devices in order to connect to these applications, and then their local applications, which is hosted on the consulting company's data center as well, right? So it poses a challenge in order to actually solve these things. So dynamic privilege access is a solution where consulting company, if they purchase Prisma Access, then the Prisma Access can actually connect to the consulting company customer's data center, right? So you have the service connections today with Prisma Access. The service connections connect to different customers' applications. So every customer is named as projects. You can see project one and project two on the right side. Those are the different applications. And on the consulting company employee laptop, so you'll have obviously the Prisma Access agent. The Prisma Access agent essentially, just like you switch between gateways today, you can actually switch between projects and then you can connect to projects. So it simplifies a whole lot of things for the consulting company. The employees don't have to they don't have to actually go through the hassle of installing multiple VPN applications which are used by different customers, and given and then also with support perspective, right? So obviously the local consulting company, local operations team, IT teams, they're actually familiar with supporting the product that they're deployed, right? So they can essentially support. It's easier to support a single VPN application rather than multiple VPN applications. All right. So this is actually a pretty broad feature in terms of the capabilities that it can offer. So there were a lot of new things that were done on the Strata Cloud Manager side in terms of supporting multiple admins who can go and then configure security rules for multiple projects separately. So RBACs with respect to splitting out, saying that, hey, these are the security policies, or we call something snippets. For every snippets, project admin gets access to whichever project admin is supposed to write security policies and manage the security policies, and then configurations, how the agent connects to Prisma Access. All those things are like clearly split out in terms of what admins can the respective project admins to do their configurations, and not overrun into like other project admins configuration and stuff. Obviously, the cloud identity engine is comes in handy to authenticate the user, and then also the Prisma Access. There were features like cloud IP address management, which was introduced in order to actually take the agent when it authenticates to a particular project. So an IP address into that particular project is given so that they are able to communicate with the respective customers, their customers' applications on the back end, and then be able to access the customers' applications on the back end from the employees' endpoint or device. So that was a overview on dynamic privilege access. Once the slides are shared, I'll actually put the admin document links as well, so that you can actually go read about and get familiar with dynamic privilege access. The other one is AutoVPN. I want to just quickly jump into the let me just quickly go through AutoVPN, and then like I'll actually come back and then maybe show in the UI as well how the AutoVPN feature has been built. Obviously, Starta Cloud Manager is a management platform. We started off with managing Prisma Access. Late last year, we introduced the capability of managing next-gen firewalls as well, right? So one of the things that we saw was obviously the management as a management solution, like we want to address next-gen firewalls which are deployed at scale, and one of the use cases were obviously the branch and then data center deployments, right? And with the branch and data center deployments, what is like one of the fundamental things that the customer look for is when you deploy branch devices, like you want the branch devices to able to form some kind of a VPN overlay so that the branches can talk to data center, the branches can talk to each other and stuff, right? So keeping that in mind, like we introduced something called AutoVPN. What we have done with AutoVPN is when the devices are onboarded or registered with Strata Cloud Manager, activated with Strata Cloud Manager, you can actually bring those devices and create something called the VPN clusters. So they can be single VPN cluster, there can be multiple VPN clusters, and then you can have hubs and then branch devices. So obviously, hub devices are the ones which sit in the data center. The idea with having clusters is it goes back to how customers deploy branch and data center devices, right? So There could be most of the customers have regional data centers and then brands in every region. So they would want to actually have branches connected to those regional data centers. So going with the same concept, we actually came up with a concept of clusters where you can actually have multiple clusters, which relates to branches and then data centers in every region, right? So we do have eBGP overlay between them. This is to make the AutoVPN redistribute all the routes which are learned from one branch to the hub and then to the other branch. Um, and we also support topologies where like one cluster needs to talk to another cluster, or one region needs to talk to another region. So we do support intercluster connectivity as well, or like one branch in one region, if it needs to go talk to another branch in another region, then with the support of intercluster connectivity, they can actually talk to each other. The other thing that we did was we automated the VPN to Prisma Access as well. So essentially, when the branch gets deployed, you can form auto VPN, like in a cluster, you can form auto VPN between the next gen firewall devices, and also you can actually form VPN to Prisma Access if Prisma Access is managed by Strata Cloud Manager as well, right? This is a pretty common scenario where most of the customers they deploy next-gen firewalls in the branch for their east-west security inspection, and anything to do with internet security, they use Prisma Access for internet security. So to simplify deployments where customers use next-gen firewall and Prisma Access, we essentially have the auto VPN extend to form automatically creating VPNs to Prisma Access nodes as well. Right. So quickly, just jumping onto the product, just to show you how it's being built. I'm going to actually go here. So this is the Starta Cloud Manager. I was looking at the command center. Essentially, what I was talking about in terms of command center is the one which gives you a quick summary of how your next-gen firewalls are Prisma Access, what kind of users that they are seeing, and then what kind of internet applications the users are accessing and stuff. So um, on the Strata Cloud Manager, you can see a bunch of things where you have insights into how your Prisma Access, how your devices, like if you have an external firewall, how they're doing, and you have a monitor. The monitor is for if you're monitoring certain applications, or if you're monitoring how your branch sites, data center, all those things are doing, then you can actually use the monitor. The configuration aspects is split into mostly manage and then workflow. So the auto VPN workflows and stuff, they reside in manage. So if you go to global settings, here is the auto VPN. And I created a bunch of clusters. I can add, let me just go to an existing cluster. So here is an existing cluster that I created. I can add hub devices. So here is my hub devices. Once I add a hub device, I can select what interfaces, assign the interfaces that want to participate in auto VPN. There are a bunch of routing configs, like what kind of logical router on the device that you want to use to. And also, an important thing is once you create an auto VPN, I can just actually click on enable SD-WAN, and then it enables the PAN-OS SD-WAN on all the devices. The same thing on the branch devices. I can actually go to a branch device. I can click on the interfaces and stuff that want to participate in the VPN. The same configuration flow. The only difference is if I want to create excuse me. If I want to create VPNs to Prisma Access, so I can actually go select on the hub, on the add hub, use Prisma Access as a hub, right? Once I do that, once I add it here, so on the branch devices, I can go and then I can select Prisma Access onboarding, and then I can select the Prisma Access location and then the IPsec termination node. So this would form a tunnel automatically to that Prisma access location. And like if you have multiple IPsec termination nodes on that location, you can select what IPsec termination nodes you want to actually go build the tunnel to. And then once you click on update, it actually forms VPN tunnels with those Prisma access locations from the NGFW. Under the settings here, you can actually we obviously use the private AS numbers on the next-gen firewall nodes and the branches and hubs. So if you want to actually go change those AS numbers, you can give that the VPN address pool. We use the default VPN address pool IP pool. You can actually go change it. If you want to enable interconnectivity, then you can actually go enable mesh between the hubs. So that means that it forms connection between one cluster to another cluster through the hub. In monitor, once the VPN clusters are set up, so you can actually go monitor the VPN tunnels. It gives you an idea how if the tunnels have been built, how the tunnels are doing and stuff. So you can essentially the tunnel naming is mostly on the serial numbers and stuff. So you can essentially drill down based on the serial numbers, take a look at the tunnels which are being which are being configured, and then look at the status for those tunnels, right? So quickly jumping across a couple of other things that I wanted to cover apart from Auto VPN is we do support the local configuration management today. The idea with local configuration management is whenever you onboard a firewall, if there are some local configs, you want to manage the local configs from the from Starta Cloud Manager. So you can essentially manage that with Starta Cloud Manager today. And then if there are some local configurations configured on the firewall, and there are some configurations that are configured on the Starta Cloud Manager, you can look at the conflicts and they can resolve the conflicts between local configuration, local configurations on the firewall and the Strata Cloud Manager. We do have the onboarding rules. Let me just bring up the onboarding rules. Give me 1 second. The idea with onboarding rules is there we go. Yeah, the idea with onboarding rules is essentially when you want to onboard a firewall, you can actually select a bunch of parameters, and you can actually assign, you can put in labels to the firewalls. You can automatically say that what target folder it needs to go to, so that when the firewall gets onboarded, like it automatically picks the configuration, downloads the configuration. You can also select what kind of VPN onboarding, like what kind of cluster that it belongs to, so that it can automatically pick the configuration and then get the configuration as well, right? So the device onboarding is something cool for somebody who has like a uniform deployment, and or they actually have some kind of a planned deployment where they would say that, hey, here is the configuration for, let's say, my branches in US, right? And if any device that gets onboarded that needs to go to that is in the US, then they can automatically say that, hey, you go attach to this folder, and then you get the configuration from the snippet, and you automatically become part of this sort of VPN cluster, so that the VPNs can automatically form. So it simplifies your kind of onboarding, and simplifies your provisioning of the devices, like when it gets onboarded to Strata Cloud Manager. So onboarding rules, that is something new that we introduced. Obviously, before I talk about snippet improvements, I just want to kind of go back again. The idea with snippets is, I think everybody understands, people who have dealt with Starta Cloud Manager, they understand that we have a concept of folders and snippets. Folders is a collection of devices. So if you have devices, firewalls, You can actually bring them under a folder. You can write security policies, right, which are common for all those folders, right? So folder is a construct where you can actually bring in the firewall and then bring in firewalls, and then you can put it under a folder. If there are configurations common for those firewalls, then you can actually write those configurations here. Snippets are essentially like a template where you say that, hey, I have security policies that I want to share across multiple, let's say, folders, right? It's going to be, let's say, I want to share the security policies across APAC folder and then California folder and also Global Protect Prisma Access. Then what you can do is you can define those security policies in a snippet, and then you can go to the snippet and then you can say that I'm going to associate the snippet to Global Protect, to Asia Pac, and then to California. So think of it as literally like in programming terms, it's like a subroutine. You take a subroutine and then you use it anywhere you want, or like a template that you want to use across multiple places, and then you can write this common configuration and you can actually share it across multiple places, right? So this reduces rewriting the configurations like across, like let's say if you want to use the same config on Prisma Access and your next-gen firewalls. So a couple of things that we did with snippet is ability to reference object across snippets. Pretty much snippets were constrained as anything which is locally configured on the snippets, you're able to reference only those. So we have the ability to reference across snippets. We have now the ability for sharing snippets across tenants as well. One other thing that we did was there is actually a config migration workflow today, which is there in the product. I do not have that enabled on this product, obviously, because this is a migrated tenant. This is mostly for customers who are Panorama managed and they want to move from Panorama managed Prisma Access to Strata Cloud Manager managed Prisma Access. So we have like a self-service driven workflow, which we GA'd last month. So the idea is we are seeing a lot of customers interested in SEM. Depending on the deployments, a couple of years ago, they started on Panorama. They see the value with Strata Cloud Manager. Obviously, Strata Cloud Manager managing Prisma Access has been there around for a long time now. So we have a lot of customers and current customers on Panorama when they want to migrate to SEM managed Prisma Access, then we do offer an option today. Again, this is actually a tool for them to analyze the configurations, whether they have actually properly come through to Strata Cloud Manager, make sure they verify, and then be able to migrate. It's not like you do a couple of clicks and then everything is migrated. The customer doesn't have to do anything. It's not like a tool that way. The tool is more essentially gives you the capabilities to make sure it gives you the capabilities so that you can verify, and then you can make sure the configurations have come through properly, and then you can actually go migrate. Obviously, there are actually certain prerequisites for migration that needs to be taken care of, which is actually there in the documentation. I'm going to just go through the workflow, like how it's there in the product today, right? So obviously, this is driven by a feature flag. If some customer wants to enable this, then we request that the customer actually go work with their account teams. The account team can reach out to the product teams, and then we can enable the feature flag for migration. So the idea is customer, when they want to migrate, so they go into the Strata Cloud Manager, obviously a Panorama managed Prisma Access. They do have Strata Cloud Manager. They do have a Strata Cloud Manager app on the hub to look at the Prisma Access health with insights. Like if they are running ADEM, even ADEM is present in Strata Cloud Manager. So once the feature is enabled under Manage, they will see a section called Panorama. Under Panorama, they will have an option to migrate, right? So the migration workflow starts, and we ask customer to actually check and verify that like what we are seeing in the backend is like essentially what the last config push that they did. This is just to make sure that their Panorama config aligns with whatever configuration is pushed to the Prisma access. Then they can bring in their Panorama running config file, upload the Panorama running config file. We go through a bunch of checks. Like once we get the file, we look at like if there are any features which are not supported, and then if we cannot move forward, then we give an option. Then we actually just give the option for the customer to cancel the migration if there are certain features where we can move forward. Then we ask the customer, hey, do you want to use the feature? Can we just trim and then move forward? We also do that. But this is again like just as such proxy and stuff because of the Panorama hierarchy. It may have just actually come into the Prisma access as well. They may be not using the feature ideally. Um, and the tool itself will actually bring in a config service pod in the backend, upload the config, and it will actually run the diff with the last pushed Panorama config. So the customer can actually go and then see that, hey, what are the diffs that were created from the last push config to Prisma Access, and then they can go and then add those diffs. So we show the UI just like a migrated UI, so the customers can go edit, change the configs, rerun the diffs, and make sure that all the diffs are taken care of before they actually go and then click on the final one, which is like complete migration right here, right? Once they click on complete migration, then all the cutover happens from Panorama to Strata Cloud Manager. So all the licenses, CDL, everything moves from Panorama to Strata Cloud Manager for managing Prisma access. So obviously we recommend that this step, the last step, has to happen on a maintenance window. The customer needs to take a maintenance window, have a proactive tag case open in case they run into any issues, so that like somebody from tech is available to troubleshoot and look at the issues and stuff. So previous to this, loading the configuration and then looking at the configuration and stuff, like there's no effect to the management plane or data plane or control plane in any way. So they can actually do that outside maintenance windows and well ahead before migration. Um, so those are quickly some of the things that I wanted to cover in terms of the new features in Strata Cloud Manager. It did not have anything else much today. Obviously, we have 6 week or 2 months cadence for Strata Cloud Manager releases. So we do keep working on a lot of enhancements and stuff. So if there are any questions, if there are anything, reach out. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Or specifically, if you have any feedback on Starta Cloud Manager, would be happy to hear.